You know, my mother.
Okay, folks, we have returned. I'm going to get to go to the next case for free again.
Seriously. 2 days before classes started, I said, hey Mom, can I borrow $400 for books? I just got to St. John's. Good for you. My mom's been on 4 campuses, Joseph Hudson sat along
57.
6 lectures and had 3 lunches with some
One dead more is the next case.
She asked me to have lunch with him, said he might be the difference maker. And I snapped. I'm sick of dealing with all the stress over all this. I'm the one applying. 27 males met the prom in 19
Matthew, I can't believe what's happening to Concordia. Ever since Justin Lawson assumed complete power, the city has fallen into discord and despair.
Laura signed in to the spot 6:33 p.m. and a guy named Alden Kessler signed in at the exact same time.
Look at that. He's at the top of my list.
Where is he?
Lawson's thirst for supreme justice is merely tyranny disguised as righteousness.
Hey, where's Alden Kessler?
You're looking at him.
Wait, you're Alden Kessler.
Is there a problem? Yeah, a tall white one.
We're investigating a rape allegation.
One can only hope that with the rising presence of the resistance, a balance of power will soon follow.
There's a rapist out there pretending to be you.
Unfortunately, the Resistance's undercover printing operation was recently raided by Lawson's people.
Get out here fast and come to Stark Tower. That's it. Adventures. Join the fight to save planet Earth from total annihilation.
However, Lady Highmore has offered her mana for resistance activities, which will help the cause. And we need all the help we can get. Pregnancy is tiring, and I don't know how much longer I can fight this battle. At least my darling husband's more than eager to help with. I don't know what is with this computer. This is so slow. A phone call? Who could that be?
She's a shrewd businesswoman.
Give the gift of iPhone 8 and get one on us.
It's proven to help.
Hello, Madeline speaking.
Joints from further irreversible damage in many adults. Humira works by targeting and helping to block specific
areas where certain fungal infections are common.
Madeline, Matthew, we have an emergency.
Hepatitis B, fungal infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Ready for a new chapter? Talk to your
I was doing my rounds along the riverbank and I found a dead body.
Do you need the most trusted battery this holiday? Maybe not. Maybe you can trust the world would be just as happy.
I must notify the Justice Corps, but I thought I'd let you know first.
I am. I only have 2 beers. I can drive. Okay. Shoot. Roger.
A murder by the riverbank? Matthew and I will be right there, Constable.
Season tickets on sale now. Go to HawaiiAthletics.com or call 944-2697.
You have a sponsor to international, what you're saying? That way universities anyway.
That must make you feel popular. You're like the doorman to the most exclusive club in the world.
These rich parents.
So the endowment was $9 billion. Section 13. You got suspicious. Yeah. Had you Googled him or looked him up?
I did, and there he was on some professor's Instagram page. Just right there, and I'm stunned. I'm
gonna have to
and I
refresh.
called this man that I just had sex with, okay? I confront him, and he laughs at me, and hangs up, and I call him again, and then he doesn't answer. So I sent the text about him raping me. I mean, I didn't mean it literally, but I wanted him
I
to
bet
know
that's Lady Highmore.
how disgusting he was and how upset I was. And then...
Did you mean to hurt yourself?
No, I was
We'll find out.
trying to numb the pain.
So you didn't know the true identity of this man.
Here we are.
You never consented to having sex with him. What he did was a I'm saying that what he did to you is wrong.
She screwed some guy trying to get her kid into college, but she got to play.
Great, in her mind anyway.
Just being real, lying to have sex is just part of the game. I mean, back in the day, I pretended to be Melly Mel's cousin one night. You trying to tell me that was rape?
Things have changed, Finn.
Not that much.
Do we have any leads?
Well, not much. All about our
Matthew, this woman looks like she's been stabbed to death.
Yeah, me neither. A lot of people do.
And this is top story. Obviously witnesses what a groveling and ass kissing up close and personal that goes on around here. Manipulating.
Unfortunately, there isn't anything with which to identify her.
I think it's disgusting, but where do you draw the line? Say this kid says he grew up with that.
Senior Trooper Matthew, I was just notified that a crime has taken place here. Who's the victim? No, it's not Lady Highmore. Is that Mrs. Thenner, the local baker? She's dead? You know her? Inspector, if you could tell us more about this woman, we would be much obliged. Perhaps we could have a word?
I remember the warmth and the wonder, twinkling lights mixed with the scent.
I'm not eager to talk to Inspector Gilbert, Matthew, but he seems to know the victim, and hopefully he still believes us to be loyal to Lawson's regime.
The risk of hospitalization will increase, making tomorrow uncertain and frustrating.
Meanwhile, I agree. We can rummage through that garbage bin to see if we find a helpful clue to solve this murder.
If you've had angioedema while taking an ACE or ARB medicine, don't take Entresto. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high potassium. Well, how about tomorrow?
But I'm gonna guess it's SARS, folks, so sit tight. I'm gonna do everything now. Matthew, I'm ready to tell you everything I know about Mrs. Thenner, justice above all. Inspector, would you know anyone who would want Mrs. Thenner dead? I haven't the slightest idea who'd want to do this. She was a law-abiding citizen. You said Mrs. Thenner was a baker, correct? Yes, she owned the bakery down the street. Mrs. Thenner made the best bread in Concordia, if you ask me. Thank you, Inspector Gilbert. Senior Trooper Matthew and I will go investigate Mrs. Thenner's bakery at once. Justice above all.
Unlawful surveillance is a felony that means prison, and we'll be filing those charges soon. The only question is, will I also be filing perjury charges? We need to lie to Metcalf because he threatened to out you for making those illegal sex videos, right? But now, that we know you're stop talking. If, for some reason, my client has made a mistake, the rest of the case before presenting.
Yes, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, my client isn't perfect. Truth is, he's not even decent. If he tried to date me, I would laugh or punch him in the face. What I'm saying is,
there's one clue.
He's disgusting, not a rapist. Mr. Metcalf is a sad, frustrated man who longs for success but never found it. So he creates characters. And he has successful, respected characters like an actor or an undercover detective might do. And in of assuming these alternate identities, he meets my family.
There we go.
Now, a crime under New York law which means that you, the jury, have a legal obligation to find Tom Metcalf not guilty.
So this is the bakery our victim owned. Let's see what we can find out about her. I agree, the bakery's cash register is a great place to start, if we can unlock it.
How about you, Mr. Barber? What was your take?
And what's that rich fabric you found? Let's mend it to see if it can tell us anything about our victim.
I care about the evidence. I care about the law, or the lack thereof. You're a talented prosecutor with a bright future. If I knew I would take the stands up and keep their gourmet coffee. Everyone jumps nowadays, and bankrupt to accept to a lesser charge. Let's not sure she accept because she's a reasonable woman. And they're different characters with repulsive dignity.
53-027.
And when they lose sight of that, they're at risk of getting
9884. Matthew, what's the silver spoon you found in the register? It looks to be expensive. You're right, there seems to be something engraved on this spoon, but it's difficult to read. Let's see if we can recover that writing.
Find out. Very good news to her person.
Worth of bread. Matthew, the engraving on the spoon revealed what appears to be a name, Valiant. And it also says a week's worth of bread.
In the criminal justice system,
this Valiant person must have traded the spoon for bread. Desperate times do call for desperate measures. Matthew, let's see if you can find this Valiant and see if they have any information regarding our victim. Mr. Valiant, we'd like to ask you some questions regarding Mrs. Fenner. We know you purchased bread at her shop. I heard the news of Mrs. Fenner's passing. Such a shame that happened to her. So you knew her well. I've been a customer of her bakery for a while. I often go to get bread for my family and community. We'd exchange pleasantries whenever I was there. I used to manage a glass factory in town where many Concordians worked. But the factory closed a few months ago, and most of the employees were left with no means of buying food. To ease their pain, I make certain they're provided for, even if that means having to sell the remainder of my valuable possessions. That's quite generous of you, Mr. Valiant. We'll be certain to call on you again should we have any further questions.
It's okay. I'm gonna help you. Lori? Please don't come in here. This place is filthy. Lori? I'm in the shower. This train. I want this stuff out of here. This stuff being washed off.
Matthew just put together a doll with those pieces of fabric. Poor thing has certainly seen better days. And look, sewn onto the collar is the name Colette. Whoever this Colette is, she must be sad to have lost her doll. Let's see if we can find Colette, Matthew. We'll return her doll, and since she's clearly visited the bakery, maybe learn something about our victim. It's getting a little late, so I'm gonna have to end this a little bit early.
This is how you make it good. That's all he kept saying to me.
So,
Make it dirty?
Yeah.
matter of fact, I'll give this doll back to Colette and then we'll stop this now. There is a treehouse on a cloud. I like to go there in my sleep. Aren't there floors for me to sleep? Not in my treehouse on a cloud. Colette, we believe this doll belongs to you. Dolly! You put Dolly together? Oh, police officer. I was afraid she could never be repaired. Do you come here by yourself? I don't come here, I live here. Mrs. Stenner's taking care of me while my mommy tries to find work. But Mrs. Stenner will be back soon and I need to finish my chores before she returns. She went to feed the ducks. She does it every morning. I'm afraid we have bad news, Colette. Mrs. Stenner has passed away. Mrs. Stenner is dead? Oh no! I just hope my mommy returns soon, then we can go far away and live in a treehouse.
Get 2 Whopper sandwiches now for only $6. Only at Burger King.
Alright folks, I got myself a big bundle of stars of 16 from last night, so let's finish out this, but I couldn't finish last night. Because of a laggy computer. I think when I closed down Google Chrome, speed came back. A wrapped knife. Matthew, there seems to be something wrapped in that bloody paper you found in the garbage. Crikey! Inside that ball of paper is a bloody knife. Being that our victim was stabbed to death, this knife could be our murder weapon. Let's get the knife to Viola. She's sure to shed light on our query.
What else kept Curtis in the closet? Having all these kids just to try to convince himself that he's straight?
The kids? So exciting. The guy is dying by screaming love poem this way?
Or he's trying to
3 hours.
White shadow.
They should finish more or less the same time. There's actually 3 hours 41 minutes left on the corpse. So I'll get the rest of the stars. I'll see y'all then.
Checkout provides meals to those less fortunate.
Okay folks, we have returned and let's just get the results of the autopsy first. Madeline, how's my favorite pregnant police officer doing today? Feeling like I swallowed a balloon full of stones. Who knew babies weighed so much? Ah yes, in the last months of gestation, the fetus nearly doubles in size. The splendor of human reproduction. What will be splendid is if we could find our killer before I birth this child. Allow me to help. As you know, your victim's cause of death was stabbing. However, an indentation on her cranium indicates the victim was first struck over the head with something heavy. Now, given that I found dried wine on the victim's head, I'd say the killer most likely used a wine bottle to strike before stabbing her. So you're saying our killer drinks wine? Yes, and the high fructose, low tannin concentrate in the wine is a telltale sign of this poor yet potent brew, Chateau Piquet. So I can tell you with certainty, your killer drinks the very cheap Chateau Piquet. Matthew, the truth is in the wine, and it has revealed that our killer likes it cheap.
Tell me about it. You boys be careful. Scotty's furniture can't enter
And the knife. Great news, Matthew. The blood on the knife matches that of your victim, which means the bloody knife is your murder weapon. Excellent. What else can you tell us about the knife? Unfortunately, that's all I have. The killer must have wiped off any last traces. However, Evie found something. We're all ears, Evie. Well, Matthew, it's concerning the paper the knife was wrapped in. Are you familiar with the French author Victor Hugo? He wrote the book The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Sadly, I'm not reading much these days other than child-rearing books. Well, the killer apparently tore a page out of Victor Hugo's collected works to wrap the bloody knife in. Matthew, that tells us if you can read them like an open book, that a killer reads Victor Hugo and you can read them like an open book. I was able to figure that out, thank goodness. Matthew, bread may be the staff of life, but we found the baker, Mrs. Stennard, dead as a day-old baguette. Mrs. Stennard was stabbed while feeding the ducks along the river, and we're still far from discovering the identity of her killer. So far, we met several people who've fallen on hard times. Not surprising, since the austere fining for petty infractions under Watson's regime has forced many out of house and home. Like young Colette, who was left to Mrs. Stennard's care by her mother as she went to search for employment. And Mr. Valiant, who was a customer of Mrs. Stennard's and purchased food by selling off his possessions. But so far, we haven't come across anyone with a motive for the murder of Mrs. Stennard. You've got it all wrong, Senior Trooper Matthew. There's plenty of motive for Mrs. Stennard's murder. Everything's gotten worse, and it was all that swine's fault.
Before I pronounce sentences,
alright, I'll see you guys in Chapter 2.
Technically, you did.
Okay, folks, let's start Chapter 2 of One Dead More.
We're gonna have to drop that back.
my name is Cassandra.
If you were to I'm gonna take this especially if I have the writers to testify against you.
I did not admit to something I didn't do.
The sentence.
Enzo Jonas is his name.
Only if I admit that I'm that woman and I'm not.
I'm sorry, who are you and why are you barging in here during our investigation?
I don't want one.
I'm Enzo Jonas. I knew that woman, and I can tell you the truth about what kind of person she really was. Very well then, Mr. Enzo Jonas. Step this way for further questioning.
You must have been this. It's not that simple.
Yeah, it is.
Enjoy all the commercials every night next week. Our gift to you is
Questioning. My apologies for barging in, Senior Trooper Matthew, but I was told you're friends of the Resistance, and that I could speak freely. Oh, so you're in the Resistance. What did you have against the victim? That appalling woman sneered at me when I tried to recruit her to the Resistance's cause. Mrs. Stennard's soul was as black as the dregs in my Chateau Piquet. She flourished under Watson's rule. Each time she came to the homeless camp to sell her bread, I could see she was getting fatter as everyone around her got poorer.
Get the party started with delicious Chex Party Mix.
Homeless camp? Where's that? The Crystal Palace from the World Exhibition has become a temporary shelter for those of us who've lost our homes and fortunes during Watson's rule. Good to know, Mr. Jonas. If Mrs. Stennard went to the homeless camp to sell bread, Senior Trooper Matthew and I had better visit it too.
Thousands of styles every month for just $39.95 plus free shipping. This fall, get your first pair of boots or booties for just $10.
What's the problem living room?
Calling the living room.
You looked in the garage again.
No.
Hi, I'm Jesse, and I'm Ben. We started Hubble because contact lenses are too expensive Presto contacts are affordable, delivered straight to you. First 2 weeks free, and Hubble contacts.
I think I see a clue at least. At least one clue there.
And diamond stones are pending just $25 each, plus 60% off vacuum for the family, or save an extra 10%.
Sack of coal. Police bludgeon. There we go.
The only place that gave me a chance for
well, there's the first star.
I enlisted to give back to the country has given me so much. Service taught me strength, responsibility, and a passion for independent things. It wasn't an easy road.
Matthew, it's surprising to see the Crystal Palace like this. Last time we were here, it was during the fanfare of the World Exhibition.
What matters? Presented by Johnny Walker, Tupac.
Regardless, we know the victim came here, so there are bound to be clues.
Did you have sex with your friend?
You reckon that sack of coal and wood is one such clue? If you think it can help, let's dig through it. And what's that police bludgeon doing here? There's something written on it. Matthew, perhaps you can decipher that out for us.
Thank you, Your Honor.
There you go. Bloody metal. Matthew, the metal you found inside that sack is stained with blood. Regrettably, I can't make heads nor tails of the image on this metal, but perhaps Evie can help us.
Yes.
Was it then that you were really 16 years? Or just a minute?
12 hours.
This is how you come in now.
T. Baldwin. Talmadge Baldwin?
I'm so sorry. You must have me confused with someone else.
Matthew, the inscription on the bludgeon reads T. Baldwin. T. Baldwin? As in Commissioner Talmadge Baldwin? But he's dead. You're right. Although Commissioner Baldwin is dead, his daughter Adelia Baldwin is alive. The last time we saw Adelia, she just given birth to a son. We found the bludgeon here, so does it mean Adelia is living here now? If so, she may have seen the victim. Let's speak with her.
I hate the place.
It wasn't me. It was the system.
Has she seen the victim? Oh, hello, Senior Trooper Matthew. It's been a while. Adelia, you look different from when we last saw you. It's because I am different. I've lost everything, Senior Trooper Matthew. All I have is my baby boy, Paris. After Daddy's death, I couldn't pay for the house, so I was evicted. Now Paris and I live in this awful place. All I have left is Daddy's bludgeon to defend myself with, and a bottle of Chateau Piquet to help me escape this awful reality. We're truly sorry to hear that, Adelia. But why are you here, Senior Trooper Matthew? Actually, we came here to ask you if you've seen a baker by the name of Mrs. Stennard. She's been murdered. Oh, that's dreadful. I've seen her selling bread here sometimes, but I've never talked to her. I can never afford to buy anything. I dreamed a dream of a better life, Senior Trooper Matthew. Paris deserves a better life, but there's nothing left for us now except misery. and I'll see you guys when this is done. See y'all then. Okay, folks, we have returned, and let's get the results of the Bloody Medal right now. Matthew, I have news on the medal you sent me. Firstly, I have Viola confirm that the blood belonged to your victim. So it was the killer who left the medal at the homeless camp. Precisely. They probably dropped the medal in the sack, hoping it would be melted in a fire. Now for the insignia. It's the symbol for a local singing contest. All the contestants who participated received a medal like this, and according to their archives, Mrs. Stenner didn't take part. If the killer participated in this contest, they must know how to sing. Well, Matthew, once we catch the killer, we'll enroll them in the prison choir. Good memory, Matthew. We did hear Colette singing earlier. I'll add it to her file. And you're right. Being with still more clues to find, we should return to the crime scene. Open book, ledger, wicker basket, and 3 seconds.
You know, you're running a special platform and get the tip free.
Matthew, this basket must belong to our victim, as it has Stenner's Bakery stitched on it. And it also has a padlock. You know times are hard when even bread is locked away, but that won't stop you from getting in. And what's this notebook? It also bears the victim's name. From the looks of all these numbers, it seems to be the victim's ledger. But why is there an obituary glued in the ledger? Answers to come once we retrieve this missing text.
All the great brands at a fraction of the cost. Now we know why Burlington isn't a factory anymore.
Take care of this now. One 666. Well, it's hard to believe that we've come so close to the end of... Oh. There we go, 79611, that's what we needed. Matthew, there's a torn paper on top of the victim's bread basket. Let's piece it together to see what it is. First, please disregard. disregards this noise.
You're watching the Madhouse.
6. Matthew, this is a police ticket issued to the victim by Inspector Gilbert. But instead of filling out the ticket, the inspector wrote a message, "Know your place." Inspector Gilbert never told us he'd had an altercation with the victim. Let's go see what this is about. Inspector, we found a threatening message you left Mrs. Stenner. Can you explain it for us? It wasn't a threat, Senior Trooper Matthew. It was merely a reminder of who she was dealing with. Mrs. Stenner had forgotten how important I'd become. Gone are the days when she was a respectable baker and I was a youth struggling to get by. I'm a powerful man in this town now, but she refused to acknowledge that. She was a rude, impudent woman who took great pleasure in mocking me. Just because I like Chateau Piquet, she said I was still a gutter snipe. Mrs. Stenner now needed to be reminded of her place. As Victor Hugo says, if the soul is left in darkness, sins will be committed. Inspector Gilbert, being Mayor Lawson's right-hand man, you know what happens to lawbreakers in Concordia these days. I just hope you didn't become one yourself. There we are. Well, it's only one, but at least it's something. Matthew, the obituary saved in the victim's ledger is that of a certain Franny Pontmercy. I don't know what this dead person has to do with the victim, but I've no doubt Evie can help us with this. 12 hours. See you guys when this is done.
Well, got it working.
Okay, we have returned. Let's get the results of the obituary from Evie. Matthew, I've got good news and bad news. Is the good news that you can tell us something about the mysterious Franny Pontmercy from the obituary in our victim's ledger? Indeed. However, the bad news is, it's rather a sad story. You see, Franny Pontmercy was a poor widow and mother to a young daughter named Colette. Colette, the little girl we met earlier, she did tell us her mother left her with Mrs. Stenner while she was looking for work. It seems Mrs. Pontmercy was making regular payments to the victim in order to provide for her daughter's care in her absence. Care isn't the word I'd use. The poor dear was covered in muck and sweeping floors when we found her. Sadly, as the obituary states, Franny Palmerston died of consumption a few weeks ago. So Mrs. Stennard has been keeping Colette as her personal servant? Wait a moment, didn't Colette tell us she was waiting for her mother to return? She probably doesn't know she's dead. Matthew, I don't like this one bit, but we must tell Colette the news about her mother.
A one-handed set, though, by Bert Leisha. And he's able to get Andy Benish in on the action. Benish, a 6'9" senior from California. He's hit 396 on the year.
Let's tell her. Senior Trooper Matthew, you're back. It's nice to see someone. I've been lonely now that Mrs. Stennard's gone. I hope Mommy will return soon, too. Oh dear, I'm so sorry, Colette, but I'm afraid we have some terrible news for you. Your mother is dead. That's not true. My mommy's not dead. She sends money to Mrs. Stennard. She's going to return for me. We found Mrs. Stennard's notebook where she keeps a record of all her payments, including the ones your mother made. And inside that notebook, we found the notice of your mother's demise. My mommy's gone? Forever? Mommy. But Mrs. Stennard said my mommy was coming back. She lied to me. She's a liar. Mrs. Stennard just wanted to keep me here to do all the chores. She was a horrible, evil person. I'm glad she's dead. Colette, we're sorry, but we can't leave you here alone. We'd like you to come with us to our station until we can find you a suitable home. Matthew, the further we continue this investigation into Mrs. Stennard's murder, the more we're discovering her less agreeable traits. Mrs. Stennard might have been the neighborhood baker, but she certainly wasn't casting her bread upon the waters for anyone. The way she mistreated Colette makes my blood boil. She unlawfully kept the child with her just so she could put her to work. Meanwhile, Enzo Jonas is furious that she didn't join them in the fight against the regime. And Inspector Chabert claims she had no respect for anyone, not even him. On top of that, we have Adelia, whose tragic story just breaks my heart. Matthew, you're needed immediately. What is it, Rose? There's an angry mob about to loot the bakery. Hello. We'll begin Chapter 3 next time. Okay, folks, we have returned. Let's start Chapter 3 of One Dead More. This is where they found out from Rose that there's a bunch of loot that the bakery is about to be looted. USC's matches last year.
worked out nicely here for Jeff Nygaard as that serve heads into the twine.
An angry mob is about to loot the bakery. A mob at the bakery? Matthew, we need to get there at once. We want bread! We want bread! Everyone, calm down this instant! We won't calm down! We want food! The bakery's goods will be distributed after the case is solved. But for now, this is the crime scene. Please return to your homes. But we're hungry. Matthew, I do feel bad for all those people. They just want to eat. Watson's rule has truly turned this city for the worse. But it's a good thing they didn't go inside. They would have trampled all over any remaining evidence. And on that note, Matthew, we should investigate the scene once more.
Rainbow Warrior Volleyball on AC Sports is sponsored by Strong and Lucky Honey.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the first line bank top three. NCAA individual kill leaders. We have talked about it. Lucas Yoder for USC leads the stack. He's at 4.91%. Jacob Delson, UCSB, 4.43. And Stein Bonsilver of Hawaii, 4.36 third overall. And here is Stein serving out of the break.
The first and third for the same year. Don't have 2 nights in a row. Real trick.
Okay, I think I see a clue.
So far, Bonsilver, 3 kills and 4 swings. Yoder, 1 kill on 2 swings.
One, anyway.
Prolific hitters for sure. Well, we are seeing the full array.
Frank photo.
For the first 16 points.
We're signing out at 81% ratio, which is very high. 70% validity in PSF most nights.
Thought that was a clue. And I see the shoe right there.
Outside of Dennis Grasso. How impressive is he with the boosters?
Recently, but has recovered well. Oh, he's from Germany. He's had born in Sao Paulo, Brazil, but they were going to Puerto Rico for a couple of years in high school. They went to there for a couple of years. They went to East Coast College.
Matthew, what's this lockpick kit doing inside the bakery? We know no one from the crowd got in, so this must have been here from before. Perhaps gathering a sample of the powder might tell us who broke in here. And what's this photo you found? That's clearly Mrs. Stenner. But there's a child sitting on her lap. And on the frame it says, "A mother's love." Could this be Mrs. Stenner's son? If so, we need to speak with him. Let's look him up in our database. And why is this machine in pieces? Maybe if we fix it, we can get more answers. Quickly, Matthew.
Unable to put it down on his first swing here in the second stanza. Yoder is blocked back. So now Grasso sends it. Yoder has gotten away with a missed hit. Outside the hands, chased down by Grasso. So here comes Lucas Yoder.
Gonna take care of everything now. I have all the stars. What'd she do for that guy? Oh, Enzo Jonas. Thought he looked familiar. Matthew, the boy in the photo of our victim, is none other than Enzo Jonas. Enzo, the resistance fighter. So Mrs. Stennard was his mother? Enzo failed to mention this information while ranting about Mrs. Stennard. We must speak to him at once.
Saved off the block by Jennings. Here's Stein off the set from Tilly and Stein about to use his role.
Do you hear the people singing songs of Lawson's Fall? Mr. Jonas, we'd like to have a word with you. Oh, Senior Trooper Matthew, you caught me practicing my chants. I used them to stir up the Resistance's morale. I tried reading some Victor Hugo to them at first, but that wasn't as effective. Right. Mr. Jonas, why didn't you tell us the victim was your mother? Oh, you found out. I didn't tell you because it's shameful. That woman may have been my mother, but I hated her and everything she stood for. I even changed my name because I wanted nothing to do with that greedy woman who mocked the Resistance's ideals. Well, Mr. Jonas, hopefully your desire to disassociate from your mother didn't go as far as murder, or there will be no resisting prison. My guess is that it's him.
Waiting for the ball to sprint out. Right one of the scriptures. Chris Olsen gets the baseball stance. With the volleyball. Outside against the
7.
So Jennings. Back row timing to Capone wasn't there. But then slipped by Alicia against Yoder.
Quick, Matthew, let's place the sample you collected from the lockpick kit under the microscope to see if we can identify who broke into the bakery.
He goes home TT all the time. The MPSF carried the week, middle of January, after a 28-kill performance in a win over Long Beach State, nearly leading the league.
Here we are.
7 kills and 10 swings for October. Outside goes to Grasso. There's a foul behind the Warriors, and they have SC doubled up here for in second.
Glass dust.
Once again, back to serve. 14 aces on the season.
Matthew, the substance you found on the lockpick kit is glass dust. Glass dust? Didn't one of our suspects say they worked in a glass factory? Oops. Didn't realize that my Bandicam had stopped recording. But people were hungry. They just needed something to eat. And who am I if not a man who keeps his word? So I broke into the bakery to take a loaf of bread, but she caught me as I entered. I begged Miss Stennard to forgive me, but she wanted none of it. She told me she would report me to the Justice Court. Mr. Valiant, that was a serious threat on her part. Did you murder Mrs. Stennard to make certain she wouldn't denounce you? I never do such a thing, Senior Trooper Matthew. All I did was run away and sing to the heavens in hopes she wouldn't report me. So I'm going to repeat that.
Well, just leave it this second set for Hawaii.
Stenner's Bakery. Oh, Senior Chipper Matthews, a shame. What have I become? It isn't enough for us to live on empty promises and warm bottles of Chateau Piquet. Yep, that's when I came in.
There's nothing worse than when the center who picks the wrong spot and everything brings it up.
Outsiders Yoder. Here's according to the line judge, that's a foul for Hawaii. Contemplating a possible challenge, but I don't think he's going to reach the ball.
It's an egg beater. Matthew, although you prepared this machine, I'm still at a loss as to what it does. But I'm sure my darling Charlie will know. This is 9 hours. And I'll see you guys, but I will have a little bit of a treat later on, but we'll see what happens. I'll see y'all then for now. When this is done. Well, I said I would wait until this thing was done. Well, this is my treat. Let's see this up. So, darling, what can you tell us about the machine Matthew found broken at the bakery? Well, sweet honeybee, I can tell you I'm glad you sent it. It doesn't mean you can see each other during work hours. Oh, Charlie, I thought you welcomed a break from my sudden cravings and flatulence. Nonsense, Snugglebug. I never tire of you. Right, sorry, Matthew. Time is ticking. Well, the machine you sent me is a multi-purpose bread-making apparatus. A baker can knead dough with this machine, and even prepare a variety of pastries. That's great, but why was it broken? I was just getting to that. I had Evie comb the machine for fingerprints and we found a match. Adelia Baldwin's to be precise. So Adelia broke the machine? But she never mentioned going to the bakery. Matthew, let's go ask her about it.
Its true measure of success is reflected by how students give back to society and becoming future leaders of tomorrow. Sponsored by Spectrum OC60 and Zippies. We think
Just had a sip of my Rockstar energy drink.
Meet with friends. Spend quality time with your family. Enjoy some much needed time. Or pursue fun.
Let's see what she has to say. Adelia, you told us you hardly knew Mrs. Stennard, and yet we found your fingerprints all over one of her baking machines. Oh, Senior Trooper Matthew, I can explain. After Daddy was murdered, I had to find a job. At first I was a nanny, but I was fired for reading Victor Hugo to the children. That's stupid. I tried finding other work, but there was nothing. Even singing in the streets was fruitless. And then one day I met Mrs. Stenner during one of her trips to the homeless camp. I begged her for work and she agreed to hire me. So you worked for her. Why didn't you tell us earlier? Because I was ashamed to tell you how she duped me. After a month of working at the bakery, all Mrs. Stenner gave me was a loaf of moldy bread as payment. After I slaved away all those long hours, leaving Paris alone with strangers, I didn't even have enough money to feed my baby. I was so furious that I broke her baking machine in retaliation. Adelia, I hope for your sake and your child's that you aren't furious enough to go one step further and kill Mrs. Stenner. Can't say I blame her. Matthew Misery can drive people to terrible deeds, and Lawson's regime is certainly creating a lot of misery in Concordia. Could our killer be Mr. Valiant, who stole from the victim and was afraid of her retribution? Or Adelia, angry that the victim refused to pay her? Or maybe Mr. Jonas struck down his own mother in righteous anger at her actions? You're right. In order to answer our questions, we need more clues. And since we know the killer has visited the homeless camp, we should go there.
What you got?
We have a kill for sexism. USA and Albania. Very close to Giant Sujo.
Steps in. Faye Adams off a solid match. 9 kills, 294, 6 days. The arc that he has shown in becoming one of the best defensive players on this Hawaii team has been a joy to watch since his freshman year, that's for sure. Franciscovich goes back row to Faye Allen, hit the tape. Chance here now for the Trojans. Here's Strange.
This thing will kind of hurry up. Alright.
Showed a lot in a dicey situation towards the end of set 2. But James Franciscovich went outside.
Pile of clothing.
A couple of blockers up if he was able to get the job done. There's Rosie, the solo stop of the
Here we are. 3 seconds.
Maybe 6 serving 2. And again, bodies flying all over the Terraflex, so a few extra moments being taken. Scoop up some oyster. This is sick and serve.
Matthew, the cover of that book says Victor Hugo on it, and we know the killer reads Victor Hugo. And inside the book, pages have been ripped out. These must be the pages the killer wrapped the murder weapon in. There's no doubt this is the killer's book. Let's collect a sample of those particles on it quickly. And if you think you might find something in this pile of dirty clothing, I shan't stop you.
It was 5:24.
We'll see you with these stories and more Mondays at 7 only on Spectra OC16.
Second coins that I found. I'm sharing. I got the pile of clothes now. Okay, we're back there. Aha! Ace. Bloody bottle. Matthew, you found a bloody bottle in that pile of clothing. And the bottle label says Chateau Piquet. It's cheap plunk, but I'd gladly drink this if I could. Wait, you're right. Jake told us the killer struck the victim over the head with a bottle of Chateau Piquet. This could be that bottle. Let's send our find to Viola immediately.
Good to see you in the volleyball matches. Oh, yeah.
9 hours, so first of all, I'm going to start this up. Then I'll resume Bandicam. Okay. There we are. Skin cells. Swiftly now, Matthew. Let's send a sample of skin cells he collected from the pages of the killer's book to Viola.
Now James Anastasiadis.
15 hours.
Yes, sir.
See, guys, and both of these are finished.
Sophia, you're welcome.
Okay, folks, we have returned, and let's get the results of the skin cells. Matthew, would you say my skin maintains a youthful quality to it? Viola, dear, I can assure you that you don't look a day over 30, but I'm afraid we don't have time to chit-chat right now. Well, this isn't about me. It's about the skin cells you found on the killer's book. I slipped the sample under the microscope and studied the collagen on them. It's the protein which gives the skin its strength and elasticity. And judging from the healthy state of the collagen in the skin cells, I can determine that your killer is younger than 25. Matthew, it looks like youth will be wasted on our killer once they're locked away in prison for murder.
I'm sorry, I'm looking for Rose Nyland. I'm an old Fred Rose! It's me, Thor!
Please disregard this. That's Golden Girls on in the background. But please do not comment about that. Matthew, I know you were pressed for time, so I shan't dawdle. The blood on the wine bottle belongs to your victim. So this is the bottle the killer used to strike Mrs. Thenard over the head. Excellent work, Viola.
We got a lot of catching up to do.
Now, in studying the liquid remains on the bottle, I didn't find anything of substance pertaining to your killer. However, I decided to examine the bottle label and found under it a strand of dark hair. Seeing as your victim had red hair, the dark hair could only have come from the killer. You hear that, Matthew? We're a hair's breadth away from catching our dark-haired killer.
I'm sorry, but I already know, Jesus.
Matthew, our bread and butter is solving crime. Now that we've all the clues we need, it's time to arrest the killer.
We're here to see Sophia Petrillo.
Oh, won't you come in?
Are you Marlon from the ad? Yes, he is. And are you Sophia? Well, he doesn't look like he'll kill me. Yeah, I'm Sophia. Now, only one little question remains. Who the hell are you? I'm Sarah, Marvin's sister. Marvin, don't you have something for Sophia?
Here.
Hey, it talks. Marvin is just a little shy.
It's not Inspector Gilbert.
We go to dinner.
It's not John Valiant. It is certainly not Colette.
He's not allowed to drive, so he asked me if I would.
It's not Enzo Jonas.
Marvin wants so much to make a good impression. What do you say? No visible means of life support. I like that in the man.
Let's see here. Under 25. Adelia Baldwin is under 25. It is her.
Let there be light. Celebrating the holiday spirit.
Adelia Baldwin, you're under arrest for the murder of Albertina Thenard. This is ridiculous, Senior Trooper Matthew. I might have fallen from grace, but I didn't fall that far. Well, we did find your singing competition medal covered in the victim's blood. A singing medal? I do like to hum a tune, but that has nothing to do with murdering someone. No, but your bottle of Chateau Piquet does, especially since you used it to bash your former employer's head in. Drinking cheap wine is not a crime, Senior Trooper Matthew. It's a welcome distraction to the miserable life I'm having. Life I'm living. Reading would have been a worthy distraction. Too bad you ripped out the pages of your Victor Hugo book to wrap the murder weapon in it. That's not... Fine. I'm tired of... Oh, darn it. I killed her. As a police commissioner's daughter, you should have known murder wasn't the answer. Did you do it because Mrs. Thenard refused to pay you for your work? It's not just that. She didn't pay me, Senior Trooper Matthew. I haven't told you the full truth about my work for her. Mrs. Thenard asked me to deliver bread to her wealthy clients. Everything was fine until one male client suggested I offer other services for extra pay. Mrs. Thenard jumped at the idea. She was charging 10 times the amount of money for a loaf of bread and my special services. Mrs. Thenard forced you to be a prostitute? Yes. I tried to refuse, but she threatened to take my child if I didn't go through with it. She told me I had no one to turn to. Nobody would believe me. Paris is all I've got, so I did what she wanted for a while, but she still didn't pay me enough. We were starving and afraid.
And I get this one free.
All with unlimited days.
I knew the only way I'd be free of her was if I killed her. I didn't have a choice, Senior Trooper Matthew.
Time for a switch.
Oh, Adelia, that's terrible, but we cannot overlook the fact you murdered someone. We have to place you up. Hem. Court is in session. Adelia Baldwin, daughter of former police commissioner Talmadge Baldwin. How do you plead to the murder of Albertina Thenard?
guess we'll never get to town.
Guilty, Your Honor. I killed Mrs. Stennard, but she wanted to take what I hold most dear. Yes, I saw that she made you give up your virtue. Life is hard when Daddy's not around to help you. No, that's not... Miss Baldwin, the facts are clear to me. A spoiled young lady with no father nor husband and a child out of wedlock murdered a high-standing citizen of Concordia. I see no reason to discuss this further. I'm sure Mayor Lawson will approve of me sentencing you to 15 years in jail. No, my poor Paris. What will happen to him now?
It can throw vaginal flora and yeast off balance. So take her fresh protein.
Matthew, I can't believe how unsympathetic Judge Umbright was to Adelia. Only someone lost and appointed would be so heartless.
This is what the holidays look like.
Adelia may have murdered Mrs. Stennard, but life has truly dealt her a losing hand. When we end Lawson's regime, I vow to review everyone's sentences. People like Adelia don't deserve such fates. You're right. Now that Adelia's in jail, baby Paris will need a home. And we still have poor Colette in our custody, but we can't keep her forever. Matthew, I pledge to do everything we can to find them warm, loving homes so they can have a better life.
Even my overstuffed cheesy peanut pizza comes with any pie filling. Wow, delicious pudgy pies right before your eyes. Call now and get my red copper flipwich for just $19.99. Plus get my recipe book free. But wait, you can get a second complete set. Just pay a separate fee. And I'll include our new Forever Sharp copper knife free. An incredible value.
Inspector Jalbert doesn't sing. John Valiant, over 25, he's 42. Colette, she was clear from the start, but I figured that. She's too young to drink. Enzo Jonas, blonde hair. It was Adelia Baldwin. I'll see you guys for Final Judgment 3-6. Okay, folks, let's start Final Judgment 3-6 of One Dead More. Matthew, it's saddening to know that Adelia tried everything she could to afford a semblance of life for herself and her child. But despair and desperation took a hold of Adelia, causing her to murder Mrs. Stennard. As a soon-to-be mother, I sympathize with her situation, and I worry for her son, who is now on his own. And let us not forget Colette. She too is parentless and in dire need of a good family to care for her. Matthew, you must find a good home for these children. Perhaps you should speak to Adelia to see if she has any relatives with whom we could leave Paris. Matthew, I need your help. Evie, are you alright? No. Something terrible's happened. I need to speak to you right away. Matthew, I was hoping to talk to Adelia, but Evie needs us. What should we do? I overheard your dilemma, Matthew. Allow me to help. Why don't you join Madeline in assisting Evelyn and then accompany me to go speak with Adelia? Let's see what Evie's emergency is. Matthew, I need your help. Catherine's gone missing. Catherine? Missing? What? How? Catherine was supposed to meet me here at the airship an hour ago, but she never came. That's very unlike her. I've tried looking for her everywhere, asked everyone I could, but nothing. The last I know, Catherine went to the riverbank to distribute flyers. But what if she was caught by the Justice Corps? Straight away. We're going to find Catherine. Gee, I really hope that she's okay. Oh.
You can come in now.
I thought the two of you would like some nice, cool lemonade.
Well, it is now to Sarah.
You don't get any lemonade. I don't need to just be loud, but I can explain. And I know you and the girls have a lot of questions.
You bet we do. And by the way, Dorothy's not my daughter. She's my lesbian lover. See, Martha, how do you like it? Not a pretty picture, is it?
Marvin, what the hell is going on here?
Isn't it obvious?
Matthew, there is no sign of Catherine, but is that her jacket all torn up? Let's piece it back together immediately. Footprint on the bottom half. There we go. Matthew, that's Catherine's coat, but it looks like someone stepped. on it. You don't think Evie's right and something's actually happened to her, do you, Matthew? We'd ordinarily send a shoe print to Evie, but seeing that she's distraught over Catherine's disappearance, let's send it to Rose instead.
Now in the red cap.
This will be 9 hours, but I want to get this over with, so I'm going to speed it up now. Matthew, I wish I had something good to tell you about the shoe print on Catherine's coat, but I'm afraid it's bad news. The shoe print matches boots worn by members of the Justice League, of the Justice Corps. A Justice Corps member stepped on her coat. Matthew, it seems Catherine was caught distributing resistance flyers. If so, Catherine's in grave danger. Lawson doesn't take lightly to those he considers traitors. Matthew, you must go see Inspector Jalbert and ask him if the Justice Corps has taken Catherine into custody. But we must tread carefully. We cannot let Inspector Jalbert think we're sympathizing with the resistance.
This bar is legit. And then we're getting even bigger discount for bottling home and all that. I'm used to this. It might take a minute.
She knows of Catherine's disappearance. Inspector Jalbert, we've heard rumors you've recently taken Catherine Wolfe into custody. Is this true? Yes, Miss Wolfe's a member of the Resistance. I caught her distributing flyers. She's a traitor. So it really happened. What we mean is, what a great coup for the Justice Corps. Justice above all, as they say. Indeed. And I'm not stopping there. I'm going to the Crystal Palace next. I hear there are more rebel degenerates housed there. However, all this fighting injustice has made me hungry. I'll stop and eat before I go. I recommend you do the same, Senior Trooper Matthew. Matthew, with Catherine having been caught by the Justice Corps, her situation is dire. And you're right. If Inspector Gilbert is going to the Crystal Palace to hunt the Resistance, he'll surely find and arrest Enzo. Let's go to the Crystal Palace to warn Enzo. Hurry, Matthew. Ring. There. Guillotine model. Oh my goodness. I gotta say though, when Lawson was introduced, he had a good head on his shoulders, but now, not so much. Model for a guillotine. But what's this object you found? It looks like a model for a guillotine, and it has a Justice Corps logo on it. The text on it is faded. Let's retrieve it to see what this is. Might have missed a couple things, but hopefully not that much. There we are. The plaque on the guillotine model reads, "Proposition for a mass execution." And it continues, "The guillotine is a quick and humane way of executing prisoners while offering a grand spectacle to the public." Mother of pearl, Matthew! The Justice Corps wants to conduct a mass execution? We thought it was bad enough when Lawson sentenced one person to death, but apparently he's getting a taste for it, and he wants to make a spectacle out of it. Is this the atrocity which awaits Catherine and Enzo if he's discovered? We must find him before Inspector Gilbert does. Wait, is that him over there behind that tent? Enzo, we need to talk to you. Let's warn him. Matthew, I heard you calling my name earlier, but I had to check you weren't being followed by anyone. We can't take any risk with Giulietta being here. You must clear out of here, both of you. Inspector Gilbert is on his way to hunt resistance fighters. And we found this guillotine model. Apparently the Justice Corps is planning a mass execution. If this is true, you're in serious danger. Thank you for warning us, Senior Trooper Matthew, but we're aware of the situation. I was the one who stole the guillotine model from the Justice Corps, and I can tell you exactly what they're planning. This mass execution will happen 2 weeks from now, and it's specifically political prisoners who Lawson wants to kill. 2 weeks? How have we not heard of this plan if it's happening so soon? They're keeping it quiet for now. Lawson was planning on announcing it at the upcoming Justice Day celebrations. How dare he? Who does Lawson think he is, celebrating a mass execution? We have to stop this madness. Absolutely, Senior Trooper Matthew, and we'll do whatever we can. But for now, we must go into hiding. The Resistance will be in touch soon. Senior Trooper Matthew, how's my darling Paris? Is he alright? Yes, we have him for now, but we'll need to find your son a more stable home. Do you have any relatives that could take him in? Sadly, no. My family disowned me when I became pregnant out of wedlock. I suppose that means we need to find a new home for both Paris and Colette now. We do still have her in our care at the moment. Oh good. I saw how Mrs. Stennard abused poor Colette. We promise to do our best for both children, but we'll need their papers in order to do so. Their papers? They're at the bakery. That vile woman had them. It was how she was able to threaten me and force me to do her dirty work by taking Paris's papers and locking them up. We'll go to the bakery to find those papers. You have our word the children will be cared for. Senior Trooper Matthew, thank you greatly for your help. Please have this. It's the last of my family's jewelry. I was keeping it for Paris, but I want you to have it. Nice.
Coupon and try them for yourself. This is what the holidays look like. And what the holidays smell like. The new holiday fragrance collection from Yankee Candle. Everything the season is meant to be. Create personalized photo candles now in stores and online.
Hopefully we'll find those papers. Here we are. Oven mitts. Here we go. Matthew, that safe box must be where Mrs. Stennard kept the children's papers. Quickly, let's unlock it. Especially considering that tomorrow is Christmas, all of these things in the additional investigation will be sped up so I can get this case over with.
To Sophia, whose generosity and kindness have given us a gift beyond measure. I do have a choice.
Look, Matthew, inside the safe box are what appear to be birth certificates. These papers have both Paris and Colette's names on them. Now with these papers, we can find the children a good home. Miss Holloway should have access to a list of adults waiting to adopt.
You're not boring, Sophia, with all those photos. He's not. I'm enjoying it.
Here's one taken when we first met.
Well, when I was 19, I answered the door one day to find the most handsome man I'd ever seen. He was selling encyclopedias, and
6 hours, and once again, as I said earlier, everything will be sped up. So that's sped up. As a Merry Christmas to everybody. Matthew, it's so sad to see such small children ending up alone in the world. Indeed, Evelyn. So what have you found regarding adoption possibilities for Paris and Colette? I reviewed the applications that were registered in the city adoption files, and I found a perfect match. Oh, that's brilliant news, Evelyn. I have no objection to your judgment in these matters. Well, I'm glad to hear you say so, because it's Marla de Paradis. Marla? I haven't seen her since... Actually, since that time Marla betrayed my trust by having relations with the mayor. Are you certain she'd be a good influence on children? Mr. Bontemps, in these last months, she's really turned her life around. She's been giving to charity, helping the kids and sinners, and Mr. Paradis might be one of the only people who will give these disadvantaged children a real chance for a good home. Very well, Evelyn. I don't relish this opportunity, but we'll speak with Marla to see what she has to say for herself.
To make you happy.
Sarah dear, can't we just be together, the two of us?
Okay, let's talk to Marla now. We've got a fresh 10 minutes. Mr. Paradis, we're here to... Isaac, it's so nice to see you again. I've missed you. Although I understand why you've kept your distance these past months, the wounds inflicted take time to heal, but I am pleased to see you doing well. Now we're here because you matched the adoption profile of 2 children in our care. I did? That's fantastic news, Senior Trooper Matthew. I'd be thrilled to give them a home. I've always wanted to be a mother, but an illness has made me incapable of having children. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm going to be a mother to 2 children, Senior Trooper Matthew. Isn't that wonderful? My home is ready for them.
I'm sorry, Rose. I guess I'm just sad because Christmas doesn't have any meaning anymore.
And if you ever want to visit, Isaac, my door is always open to you.
The 3 wise men in the nativity.
I'll consider the invitation. Thank you. Until then, Senior Trooper Matthew, here are the required funds for the adoption. I'm ready to meet my children.
Let me take a wild guess. It's like this on we know who he is,
Matthew, I admit, it was surprisingly nice to see Marla again. And I'm relieved to have also found a good home for those children. Well, I'm glad things are well for you, Mr. Bontemps, but that's not the case on our end. Catherine's been arrested by the Justice Court, and a mass execution of political prisoners, which includes Catherine, is happening in 2 weeks. What? Is that true? A mass execution happening in 2 weeks? I'm afraid so. Lawson plans on beheading anyone who's against him in a large-scale public display. This is absurd. We cannot let this happen. Indeed not. We must do everything in our power to free Catherine and stop Watson's nefarious execution plan. Onward, Matthew.
I just spent $89 for a dog on Brian Booth.
Ma, you had $89?
Don't be ridiculous. I charged all my gifts with a credit card down in your purse.
You're taking them back.
Even the beautiful cashmere sweater I got for Blanche? Cashmere? I love cashmere. Don't tell me, tell Scrooge.
Why? How did you think I was going to pay for all this?
Who spent the money out It's Christmas.
You see how this holiday is become? You see? Everybody thinks the best way to show someone you care is by going into debt. I mean, where is the love? Where's the chivalry? Where is the true spirit of Christmas?
Even more crazy, Harry. No, maybe you're right, I know I spent too much again this year. I have a terrific idea. Before we go home and spend
Alright, let's see.
Why don't we have a little celebration right here? Straight on style. I will not drink
December 28th, that's a Thursday.
We don't do that at Christmas. We do that at Easter. Christmas, we exchange gifts we make for each other. Oh, that is a great idea. Turn all those meaningless, impersonal gifts that we always buy for each other that comes from the heart. What do you say? I should make a rap song with a fake photo. Staying with Demon Marcus lays a power third floor.
5 new ones. Another 5. Five new ones.
This will come in a lot happier than those pearl games. The next time I'm lost in the woods with a snack of pancakes.
Girls, I want to give y'all my respect, okay? I just thought this was such a cute idea. I made the same one for each of you. Yeah. Sophia, the man of the branches boulevard. It's a calendar. Each month has a picture of a man that's brought some special.
Boy, we're coming down to the end here.
This is so fun.
Of course I am cracking up at the Golden Girls that's on, but please don't comment on that. And that'll do. So I'll see you guys on December 28th. Hope you guys have a great Christmas. I'll see you guys for case number 58.